Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Confirmed cases of coronavirus in Nigeria climb to 46 as the NCDC confirms one new case in Lagos, bringing its total to 30, and another in Osun State being its first confirmed case. President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo both test negative to the coronavirus amid fears of COVID-19 and the presidency following Chief of Staff's positive test. 4 governors go into self-isolation after coming in contact with confirmed cases of coronavirus. And COVID-19 enters British royal family as Charles, the Prince of Wales, tests positive to the virus as global death toll surpasses 20,000. Plus business and sports, the news from Abuja, the FCT, and later international news from our London studios. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using a mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. With the increase in the number of confirmed coronavirus cases in the country, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State has announced a ban on religious services, weddings, parties, and burial ceremonies for the next 2 weeks. The governor has also ordered all nightclubs in the state to be shut immediately. Governor Makinde, who gave the directive during a live broadcast in Ibadan, the state capital, also insisted that all gatherings must be limited to 30 persons or less. He also ordered the indefinite postponement of the Nigerian Mining and Geoscience Summit, as well as the Oyo State Agribusiness Summit, to prevent spread of the coronavirus.
I've already directed that all public and private schools in Oyo State should be closed until after Easter. The ongoing workers' verification exercise has been suspended. The Free Health Mission has also been suspended. All returning expatriate staffers in the state are presently in isolation and are being monitored. However, with the confirmation of the first case and a clear understanding of how this disease can be transmitted, it cannot remain business as usual. We have postponed the Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Summit indefinitely. We have also postponed the Agribusiness Summit indefinitely.
In neighboring Lagos State, general environmental sanitation is a sure way to begin the fight against the spread of the coronavirus. That's the view shared by Lagosians as the state begins disinfecting bus stops and other commonly shared areas in the state. Our correspondent, Chris Elems, reports.
The surge in the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country is beginning to draw attention to the need for a cleaner environment. And Lagosians are asking the government to pay attention to environmental sanitation.
At Uju-Elegba, these residents have cleared their drains. As far as they are concerned, a clean environment will most likely be a virus-free one.
We are trying to back the drainage because of the epidemic that is involved problem in Lagos now. That's why we are trying to back the drainage so the water can be flow. So because some of this water is entering some building here.
While most major roads are beginning to look clean, some inner streets still host unevacuated and overflowing refuse bins. The people want Loma to double up their efforts.
Like this Falolu, they do clean it often, but the lawman, they don't come to pack this thing often.
They really need to step up and with their cleaning activities so that we can curb this pandemic.
Meanwhile, at the stadium bus stop, the State Ministry of Environment is disinfecting the area. It is one of the many common areas they will be working on as a means of tackling the spread of the virus.
That's why we're coming here to actually use this opportunity to sanitize and to disinfect areas where there might be likely contamination or the spread of the virus. So we're trying to contain at every level.
However, this medical practitioner wants to see more hand-washing points across the states.
I've not seen that around at all. People are concentrating on sanitizer. And in fact, the way they're using the sanitizer, they are not using it well. Because you have to use at least 5 minutes of the sanitizer per time.
It's obvious that the awareness about the virus is growing by the day, and Lagosians are beginning to understand its impact. The responsible thing to do now is to continue to apply the right precautionary measures in order to stay safe. Chris Lamps, Channels Television News.
Let's now continue our conversation on ways to stem the spread of the coronavirus. We've been joined on the News at 10 by Dr. Franca Attoh, a sociologist from the University of Lagos, to look at the issue of social distancing and what impacts that can have in the curbing of the coronavirus. Dr. Attoh, thank you for joining us on the News at 10. The federal government and indeed many state governments have emphasized need for social distancing. How well do you think that this can actually help control the spread of the coronavirus?
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much. We say that man is a social animal. Ideally, man should have contact with each other. But in order to stem the spread of this disease, it is ideal that we try as much as possible to observe the social distancing and also all the other preventive measures that the World Health Organization and the Nigerian Center for Disease Control had actually enumerated. Unfortunately, the problem we have at the moment is enlightenment and sensitization. For instance, this morning I went to the bank. You'll be amazed that a great deal of our people, a great number of our people, don't really believe that there is something called COVID-19. In fact, somebody was saying that it is a disease for very rich people. It has nothing to do with the poor. So I believe that for us to ensure that this does not spread any further, there's a need for us to begin to do mass campaign across all the garages, the marketplaces, even though the state has closed the markets. But we'll try as much as possible. If we need to use public address system mounted on vehicles, road shows, go through the inner streets so that people will realize that this is real. You need to watch the Italian situation to know how scary this problem is. Every hand has to be on deck for us to ensure that we don't go the way of other countries at the moment.
Yeah, and I know that the point here is to spread the message of awareness and not fear to those who are listening. And you're right when you say that people don't believe that this is, a virus that is worldwide, and it is real, especially here in Lagos State. And I know governments and corporate organizations appear to have embraced, this method of social distancing and trying to educate people on how to curb the spread of the coronavirus. But how do these people who don't believe that this virus exists, how do their thoughts and their opinions impact on the overall efforts by everyone else to reduce the spread of the coronavirus?
Well, there are two ways, for instance. Corporate organizations, for you to enter the bank this morning, it's not the normal way of going into the bank. It's usually one person is admitted into the banking hall at a time, and then your temperature is taken. But then when I came in, I saw a very long queue, and there was no form of social distancing. In fact, I had to educate the security man at the door to inform him that you could do this in another way, give out numbers to all the people, so that people could sit wherever they want to. Once your number is called, you could now approach the door. The door is open for you, and you go into the banking hall. And luckily, he was somebody who was, very, very attentive and then enlightened. So he did that immediately. But then there are other places where we might not have the opportunity to do that. And that is why I believe that the Lagos state government has a lot, because Lagos is more or less like New York. It is the big apple of Nigeria. Everybody comes into Lagos. Everybody comes into Lagos. And if Lagos should actually have the kind of crisis we are witnessing in other parts of the world is going to be a real tragedy for us. And that's the reason why each and every one of us, especially the elite, we owe it as a duty of care to the society to begin to do mass campaign, mass enlightenment. For instance, churches had been closed, but you'll be amazed that there are people who are still holding what they call house fellowships. And these house fellowships, you have more than 20 people attending them. I mean, how do you control things like that if not through enlightenment? Let there be jingles on radio for those who don't have television, for instance. Let there be, yesterday night I was watching something on the streets of Italy. The police vans were out on the streets. You know, it was more or less like a public enlightenment campaign, telling everybody, please stay indoors, don't come out, this is the police, COVID-19 is real. You know, these are the kind of things we should be doing. This is more or less like a war situation. Unfortunately, this theater of war is being fought by people. We don't even see the virus. We don't know the virus. We don't know who has the virus, because somebody might be without symptoms, but the person might have contracted the virus. So it is something that each and every one of us, the media, enlightened people, teachers, wherever you are, in whatever constituency you find yourself, let us begin to do a mass campaign. We owe it to our society. Now, unfortunately, nobody can leave the country at the moment. In fact, it's ironical. Previously, elites might go abroad to treat one ailment or the other. Now all the countries have said, stay in your own country. In fact, there are countries that if you come in, it's something we use it as a joke, you know, amongst my colleagues. Supposing you have a conference and you're going to China, for instance, as soon as you land, you're going to be quarantined for 14 days. So you might be in your quarantine when the conference is over. So we are all stuck here, and that's the reason why we must work. This is our country. I don't have any other country, for instance, and I don't think I'm going to live in any other country at this age. So my job now is to ensure that all the people around me, and this is something I've been doing, my neighbors, all the people who are selling things that I meet, I tell them, wash your hands as many times as possible. Even if you can't afford to buy a sanitizer, get yourself water and soap. Once you go out, wash. You come in, wash. Do that as much as possible.
Dr. Attoh, thank you. Thank you again, especially for, bringing that out there again for people to remember to sanitize and to wash their hands. Appreciate your being with us on the news at 10 tonight. Dr. Franca Attoh, a sociologist from the University of Lagos, looking at the possibility of social distancing and society. Thanks again. And when the news at 10 returns, federal government proposes $30 a barrel oil benchmark for the 2020 budget review as international oil prices plunge. Join us again.